Welcome to Bear Balance. I'm Jeff Burkus. Other side of the screen, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, the Chicago Bears bowed out of the playoff picture with an overtime loss, 20-17 against the LA Rams. But a damn good game and a damn good season. How'd you take it?
Same, yeah, just like that. I mean, it was a fun game. It was up and down, right? A lot of emotions during the entire game, and that was the season, right? That's the season that this Bears team took us on, roller coaster ride. Way more highs than lows, but those highs were like those highs were pretty high. It was such a special season, and like we were talking about on a little bit earlier, this feels like the start of something big.
Yeah, I think so too. I think when you look at some of the previous history and I see a lot of there's a lot of NFC North fans of other NFC North teams that sure have been chirping at Bears and Bears fans
Yeah,
and waiting for their demise. And our good friends up in Pride of Detroit,
yeah.
openly talking about, oh, I'm so happy that this team that's just nothing but luck is knocked out, and they hate the Bears with the Ben Johnson stuff. They
Oh
just
yeah.
hate them. Obviously, the Packers fans they hate the Bears. The Vikings fans, no one can hear them, but they were chirping too, right? And so you've got this interesting position where no one outside of Chicago in the NFC North believes that this is real. Like this is a blip. This is a 1 year, aberration. You're going to go back to crash back down to earth. And, maybe you could have seen that in 2018 to 2019, maybe not. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in hindsight that happened there that we know of the demise of that. Very different football team, right? You're
Yeah.
not having Vic Fangio's not leaving, right? This wasn't a defensive led team. In fact, the defense was kind of hobbling along for most of the year, and with injuries and Dennis Allen trying to figure out throwing the kitchen sink, at everything he could. But this was a team that had some fun, lucky wins, if you want to call it lucky wins
Yeah.
early on. And then they started to get good. They started to play good football down the stretch to the point where they were, I think, provably unlucky in the playoffs and still won one of the games and probably should have won the second one. We'll get into all of that, but just like overall of this game, um, you know, did you when you went back and watched this? So we always you and I both always go
Yeah.
back and rewatch these games. When you went back and rewatched this, did it hurt more or less on the second viewing?
Well, I think I talked about it one time before, like I forget which game it was, but on the rewatch, I think it was the Packers game early in the season where they came back and won, and I got excited again all over again. I had that same feeling with this game. That pass to Cole Kmet, goosebumps, right? I mean, I knew it was coming, but yet it happened, and like in the moment, I'm just like, it's just such a fun play to see. It's such a huge moment that the Bears kind of met the moment and they kind of did what they had to do. And again, a fourth down play. I mean, look, every week it's like, oh, that's the best throw of his career. Oh, that's the best throw of his career. I saw a tweet earlier this week. It was I can't remember who it was. But it was like the top 5 plays from Caleb Williams, and I watched them like, man, those are great plays. But I started thinking, well, he forgot about a couple plays in the Packers game, the earlier games. And like, I remember all these other plays that he did. A good offseason project for someone, and I'm sure someone on YouTube will do this, is go through and clip all the greatest Caleb highlights, because this season was full of them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's certainly something that I've thought about. I'm sure someone will get up and do that. But like, it's also one of those things where you might have a different opinion. You might have a different grading
Yeah.
scale. You might have, here's the context of the play, or this is just the pure throw, or whatever. And again, the critics are like, oh yeah, sure, he has these one-off throws every once in a while. But it's like a lot of the stuff, the bread and butter of this offense continued to build and look better and better throughout the year.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get into some of it that kind of failed. I think failed Caleb and failed a great defensive effort here. But overall, competitive game. And I think it was interesting that the locker room response seemed to be, okay, well, we know what we got to do next year,
Yeah.
and not, complaining about the refs or, they weren't hanging their heads. They were like, we've got the guy, with the headset on, we've got the guy under center. And I think that when we came into this year, that was what we were looking for. We've been talking about it a long time. We were convinced of both pieces of that, but every week more and more people are jumping on that because they see what those two have been able to build together in year one. And you let your imagination run free. And that's get back to your original point of like, this ain't no flash in the pan.
Yeah.
Like Rich Eisen had a little clip out
I
today,
loved that
and
clip.
he
Yeah.
was like, this team's going to be back. And his guys are like, yeah, duh, and I this reminds me so much of Mahomes' first year as a starter. They got to the AFC Championship game, and they took the Patriots. They had them on the ropes. Patriots end up winning. They go win the Super Bowl. And when they lost that AFC Championship game, I got a lot of Chiefs fans in my life, and they were all like, "Oh, we'll never get back," And I was like, "Guys, you got the guy.
Yeah, you got the guy.
You got Andy Reid. He's good. You've got the guy at quarterback. You're going to be back." Now, I wouldn't have, all of the dominance that they've had in their dynasty, like I wouldn't have predicted that necessarily, but I was like, you guys are going to get one. Like, don't worry about it. And I feel that way about the Bears right now, but I need somebody to tell me that,
Yeah.
and so it was nice to hear that from Rich Eisen. Like, you guys are good. You got it. You got it. And there's other national, it's not just him. There, the other guys have been building into that narrative over the last few weeks. And so I do feel like as we sit at the end of this season, looking back, it's going to be a lot of fun to remember. But to me, it feels like this is the start of something that's going to be really special.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about the Cubs the year before Joe Madden's first year as manager there. They kind of, they thought they'd be better, but they made the playoffs, and no one expected that. And then of course the next year they win the World Series, and it's where this team is, right? This is the '84 Bears, this is the '05 Bears, right? They're right there. It looks good, but the difference is Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. You got those two spots locked up. That's why it gives you those Chiefs vibes, like you said, with Mahomes and Reed.
Love it. Well, let's get into this game. We'll go through the categories, and we'll get through this. So we start every show in the trenches. Trench tribute. Where do you want to go for your final trench tribute of the year?
I got a twofer, and it's the reason is because I wrote one guy's name down. I'm like, well, I can't mention him without mentioning him. So it's Joe Thuney. It's Jordan McFadden. That's the left side. Mm-hmm. Man, Bears fans were up in arms when that leak by Brad Biggs broke the story that they're going to start Joe Thuney at left tackle. He did it obviously with the Chiefs, last year, and he was fine there. He's a better guard than he is a tackle, but desperate times, and that's what the Bears were. And they didn't want Theo Beneday out there. They didn't trust him as a pass blocker against Verse, so they made the move. And then Jordan McFadden, right? A guy that started the year on the practice squad, made the active roster about, a few games in. Fans were concerned, but I thought both those guys hold up well. They made a point on the broadcast, they're not running to the left. They're not running to the left. Well, I think that's kind of normal anyway. The Bears like to run behind Wright and Jackson anyway. But yeah, I think Joe Thuney, Jordan McFadden, you can't mention one without the other this game. I thought both played pretty good.
Yeah, and it evened out a little bit. They started running to the left a little more, but yeah, they're a little right-handed early on in the game, and then that started to even out. I will say that the Bears' rushing attack was not particularly good, particularly in the short yardage situation. So that was definitely a takeaway.
It's a good front. The Rams have a good front.
Rams have a really good front. It was a little frustrating. We can get into that, but yeah, I had the same two names written down, and that was it. That was the only two names I wrote down because I thought like this is. And you're right. There was a lot of people that were questioning the move beforehand. I heard a lot of like, well, now you're getting worse at two positions. And I just I don't know that I get that. Like, I know, I understand the math, but I think well, Trapillo's out. So either you're going to put in a guy that you don't feel comfortable with and you don't like the game plan, or you're going to move your left guard out to left tackle. This is a guy that's, right at this point, I feel like Joe Thuney is going to be in a Hall of Fame. So, you ask him to do what he's done before, and even if he's not a Hall of Fame left tackle, he's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman that's making the sacrifice, for one game's game plan. And then you bring in your backup guard that you feel most comfortable with to execute your game plan. These guys know what they're doing. They've been working with them. This is week 19, right? The game 19. They've been working with them all year. And so mean, if you're not trusting this coaching staff yet, then I don't, you're not in the building every day. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
just like the number of people that like are in our circle too, where I don't like this, I don't like it at all. I'm like, I'm not. They clearly don't like going back to Benedict. So if that's the case, and you have a game plan that you want to run here, then you have to make that move. And I thought overall they played pretty well. Like they held up in pass protection, and McFadden was doing some things in the run game. That goes to show you that you you keep these guys engaged all year. You coach them up. You're coaching up not just the starters, but you're coaching up the backups and the guys, because you never know when the next guy's going to be up. And when they have that opportunity, they play well. I mean, for him to have his first start of the McFadden to have his first start of the year in a divisional playoff game, and for him to play pretty respectfully, I think is a great testament to him and to the coaching staff. And both guys absolutely deserve the praise at the top of the show.
Yeah, Dan Rochar, Bears O-line coach. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing, obviously. And, this was hindsight. Again, hindsight tells us a lot of things. This is one where it's like, well, yeah, they made the right move here with and I thought Tooney was good. I mean, he looked like you could not tell that he doesn't have tackle technique. He's just such a pro, right? I mean,
yeah.
He is just so good. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have the prototypical build for left tackle, but you watch him play, you don't see, that's a guard trying to play tackle. You see a tackle. That's kind of how he is. And McFadden, good athlete. And I think he definitely has earned the trust of this coaching staff. And he's a guy that I think the Bears probably bring back next year too now.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was funny that they on the broadcast said that Verse said, well, anybody that's under 350 pounds, I'm just going to bull rush them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, maybe. But, Tooney can certainly anchor down in the interior. And so
he's a guard.
He's a guard. That's one thing he knows how to do. So when he said that, one of those, like, I laughed out loud moments, because I was like, well, he's a guard. Like he's going to have an anchor. Like, I would worry about him being able to chase out speed. Yeah. Right. So that would be, anyway, it is what it is. Reminded me a little bit of Marshall Yonda, who kicked out to tackle for the Ravens when they needed him. It's rare. Obviously Kyle Long did it, and we could talk about that too, but I'm talking Hall of Fame level player at guard being able to kick out to tackle. And even within that Hall of Fame guard category, I still think it's tough. Right. But I do think it shows just how good Joe Tooney is.
Yes.
All right. Let's get into the social media portion. Sweet tweets. I'm going to kick us off because I think yours rolls in a little bit more to what we're doing. Mine's a little bit more big picture. So this is from Ashton Kutcher, which I can't believe that I'm quoting a tweet from actor and famous Bears fan, Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. He's at A+K. And I think he was like an original Twitter user. Like he was like the original like celebrity sponsor of Twitter. Anyway, if you go way back.
That does ring a bell. That does ring a bell.
He was like, he was just kind of helped get it going. So we can blame him for part of the Twitter success. But this is a long one, but I wanted to read it because I thought it felt important and philosophical. And so his tweet was, "A win would have been nice, but it was still the greatest night of my football life. It's the moment that I will always remember when the real reason for football clicked in. Football isn't just a game played with a ball on the field. It's not just a 3D chess with men colliding. It's human connection. It's family genetics. It's an allegiance passed from generation to generation. I witnessed my son standing in the same place that I stand, screaming at a black square with colored pixels for an orange and blue team, as if somehow his cries could affect the outcome of the game. Last night was the night that I knew that I had done my real job as a Bears fan. I passed the game to the next generation. I shared a forever loyalty. He is fully on his way to a lifetime journey of highs and lows. Believe me, we know those. Love and passion, love and loss, passion and grit, strategy and might, joy and disappointment. And when the day comes where my son and I are at an impasse, we can always talk about the Bears." And before the game, we've mentioned this group chat that we're in with some people, and a few guys, had some pictures of themselves with their kids, all wearing Bears gear, or with their wives, or with their families, and I thought, I got a lot of that. There was a moment where, obviously the big pass. My phone blew up. Like I had like 20 texts from people that I hadn't heard from in years,
Yeah.
in some instances. And so, this game does bring you together in a way, and it's a shared experience for a lot of people. And yes, we have covered this team on the lowliest lows, and we're hoping to cover them on the highest highs. But I think that overall, the experience is something that is supposed to be fun, but it also can be really meaningful and important as you watch these games with loved ones and make connections and build memories off of something that me yelling at the TV or saying like go for it, like it means nothing. Like no one is impacted by whether or not I watch this game, but you are in it to a point where you think you being there and wearing the same shirt and not washing your socks for during winning streak or whatever weird thing you have going on, somehow impacts the overall mojo of your favorite football team. And I just think that to all of you that have been around for the ride or just getting on board, this is what football is all about, and we're happy to have you.
Oh, that's a great tweet. I missed that. I don't follow Ashton like you do, so I missed that one there. So
he's from Iowa. He's from
he is an Iowa guy.
He is my hometown. They're very close to it.
Nice.
Yeah,
So no, that's good. That's in the same vein as I don't know if you guys caught the Jack Silverstein wrote an article for us last week. This one's for the kids about the Packers and Bears game last week. Phenomenal article. He talked about same thing, how he's sharing this with his kids. His kids now get to know this. His kids realizing this is like his kids' first good Bears team. Like they've experienced Chicago Sky championships. He's a big Chicago guy. Obviously, if you guys don't know Jack, but this is their first Bears, and his kids are feeling it now, and they understand the emotion of it. And it is an emotional game, right? I mean, if you have someone you can share it with in your circle of loved ones or friends or family, I mean, that makes it that much more special.
We'll see if we can get Ashton on the show.
Nice.
And we'll see if we can
pull the Iowa card on him next time.
I'm not even Iowa, Cedar Rapids, hey,
man.
we're same hometown, man.
Even closer.
All right, let's head over to yours.
So I had to share this because when I saw it, I literally laughed out loud. And when I saw the tweet, so Cole Tamari at Cole Tamari, he quote tweeted the Sunday Night Football NBC clip of the throw, the latest best pass of the year. And what he said was, Chris Collinsworth's been around the game for nearly 50 years. If he's saying this, and what he's saying is Collinsworth in the game was talking about was one of the greatest throws of all time, unbelievable stuff, just Caleb, just very, very, complimentary towards Caleb's and everything Caleb did in this game. So again, Chris Collinsworth been around the game for nearly 50 years. If he's saying this, it's some crazy shit. Mike Tirico laughing like he's in a I'm laughing reading this. Mike Tirico laughing like he's in a Syracuse basement watching the NFL on CBS while smoking a joint in 1987. The Bears really have that guy at QB. And if you go back and watch the clip, and I watched it today, Tirico was giggling, right? When the play happened, right? Like these guys are having fun. That's football. Football's fun. If you're not enjoying the game, then, find a new hobby. But Collinsworth, Tirico, Rich Eisen, they all know it, right? The Bears have the guy at quarterback. It's Caleb Williams paired with Ben Johnson. This championship window is open. Any talk of regression is just cope happening from fans, from other fan bases. This team is here. This team is going to be here for a long time. And it scares some fans of Packers and Vikings and Lions because they haven't had this happen from the Bears in a long time.
Yeah, this team is on the upward trajectory. We talked about it a lot. They weren't a team like, say, the Commanders from last year, where they really wanted to make a splash with new ownership and they spent on free agency. Veterans, they brought in some older veterans, and they pushed a lot of money into last year, and it paid off. They got all the way to the NFC Championship game. Well, fast forward this year, their Gumby quarterback got hurt.
Oh,
he missed a bunch of games. Their offensive coordinator got fired, right? Like it's kind of a disaster.
This guy was there.
You got the backward hat wearing
terrible
with the snapback, which I find offensive.
It's just a terrible look.
I think it's a terrible look.
It looks bad on me, but an NFL head coach What are
They
you
look
doing?
terrible for sure on an NFL
Jeez
head coach.
Louise.
Just wear your hat straight, or wear at least wear a fitted hat backwards.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But pull the Griffey. Anyway, that's one of my very few strongly held opinions about hats. But okay, it is fun. This game is fun. The Bears are built this is the start of their window. It isn't like this one random push to make a splash. It's not the dying edge of a window where they have to reload and reset. This is the start of the window here. And every starter on offense, maybe one of the wide receivers might not be back, but I would say every starter is under contract, right? Like all these guys can come back. And so it's they're going to be starting from a much higher position. And some of the things that I think the reason why this game did not go in the Bears' favor was because they were not really focused on the details, the whole team. That only improves over time. So I think this is on the up. So let's head into the caught up in a numbers game. Let's go with our stat of the week. I guess I started off the last category, so I'll go here. I've got a few numbers that I think are interesting. I'm going to give the one that I think is the most interesting, and that is 5. The Bears had 5 forced fumbles in the last 2 weeks, and they recovered 0.
Okay, good job.
And I think that for all of the talk about how lucky this team has been with turnover luck and all that kind of stuff, I don't really see it that way because I don't think turnovers are as lucky as I think. Like the ball bounces, you're generally going to recover about half of the fumbles. They recovered 0. They had no luck on the forced fumbles. I went through the game and I took a tally of the number of times that I thought Matthew Stafford threw a ball that could have been intercepted. Now, would have been a great play, or did the ball need to be tipped slightly different to really have a play on it? Yes, but I had 5. I had 5 balls that I thought he probably could have. Like if the Bears would have intercepted them, you would have been like, "Yep, that makes sense," right?
Yeah.
So you had 5 opportunities there and 2 fumbles from Stafford that were both recovered by the Rams. One just bounced right back into his breadbasket.
That was terrible.
And the other, Johnny on the spot there recovered the fumble.
Yeah.
So, anywhere from like 2 to 7 opportunities, and the Bears got none of them. And I think that's just like, I just think it's an interesting thing. Like playoff football, things tighten up and all that kind of stuff. But they can, one of those goes the Bears' way. We probably are in a very different mood today, right? Like there's just so many interesting things that happen in a football game that are magnified, but this did not go their way, and they still won the first game, and they lost in overtime to the second game. So it just goes to show you that yes, they very much enjoyed that huge turnover differential advantage throughout the regular season, but it wasn't all of what fueled their success.
Now, the Rams are a good team, right? I mean, like if you're going to beat the Rams, you got to get some luck, hopefully, to go your way. And look, it just they didn't get all the breaks. And like you said, that one, it bounced right back into his belly there. It was just a fortunate bounce for them. And, this goes back to the Packers last week. There was so many times where the Bears, that game shouldn't have been as close as it was, had some of those turnovers gone the Bears' way. So, going back to your differential, I mean, the Rams, I think they were the top team in step differential this year, weren't they? I mean, that's a very, very opportunistic team, but you don't hear that about the Rams. Oh, they're a lucky team. I mean, it's because they're well coached. They have a good quarterback play. They have a good offense. The defense is opportunistic. The Bears have some of those qualities too. They were number 2 in step differential, right, for you. So they were both up there. They had that going for them, but that's, like you said, that's coached, right? That's Dennis Allen preaching the punch. That's Coach Al Harris, teaching his DBs to attack the football, right? That's turnovers are sustainable if you're coached that way, and I think that's how the Bears are coached.
What'd you have?
Speaking of sustainable, we hear a lot of talk about how the 8 comebacks for the Bears. You can't keep winning that way, right? I mean, we've heard that 8 times, right? The fans have said, it's not sustainable. You can't keep doing it. So 8's not my number. My number is actually also 5, right? 5 of the Bears' 7 losses this year were 1-score games. So yeah, okay, maybe you can't have 8 close wins again this year, but are you going to have 5 close losses? I mean, if you're going to play what if, you got to play what if all the way around the world, right? You can't just say, well, they're too lucky when it comes to this. Well, were they also unlucky then when it comes to the close losses? 5 of those 7 losses, they lost those by an average of 4 points a game. They were right there in all those games. They had a chance to win, just like last night against the Rams. They were right there, and it just didn't come through. So, again, this is a good football team. They're well coached. The offense is completely intact coming back. The defense, I don't know if you caught this, but Chris Collinsworth mentioned that Dennis Allen was told when he was hired they were going to get none of his guys this year. You know, I missed that on the broadcast, but it was brought up in our chat. Aaron Lemming, so hat tip to Aaron. He brought this up that he heard this in the broadcast, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's. I went back and listened. Yeah. So Dennis Allen this offseason, he'll get a couple dogs, right? Maybe an edge, you know, maybe a big body defensive tackle. Something's going to happen on defense this offseason because last year was more skewed towards getting Caleb that support he needs, getting Ben Johnson some of the guys he needs for his offense. Next year, next offseason coming up here, and you know, free agency starts in a month and a half, you know, it's going to be a little more defense. The draft, maybe a little more defense. Maybe they'll make a trade and go after a talented edge rusher that's on the market. There's a couple of them still, so who knows? And then this goes along the lines of who wouldn't want to play for Ben Johnson's Chicago Bears, right? I mean, that's a huge part of this where a lot of fans don't think about. But look, if I have 2 offers on the table, money's comparable, I'm going to play with Caleb, right? Because I see, like Mahomes was back then, I see a guy that can kind of take this team to another level and, you know, help you out, help you get those rings. And that's where the Bears are in this franchise right now. They're right there, like I said, on the cusp. And the league sees this, you know, players around the league, they all see this, and, you know, why not play for Ben?
Well, if you think about it, there's a lot of things, right? So if the Bears are going to be better, they're going to have more primetime games. They're going to play more meaningful games when they'll play into the playoffs. And so you have more national spotlight on you as a player. So if you're looking to be like, hey, I need to kind of like get that big contract. So I'm going to sign this 1-year deal somewhere to like reestablish my deal and go back into the free agency market next year. Well, where do I want to go? Do I want to go to Arizona and no one ever sees me? Or do I want to go to Chicago? Arizona's paying me more money this year, but if I can go to Chicago, then maybe I can reset my value. So there's like those types of free agents that you'll see, I think, be a little bit more interested in Chicago. And then you got the legacy guys, the guys that are like, you know, I've already got my money. Yeah. I've been playing for a long time. I really want a ring. I want an all pro. Like I want the like credentials to try to set me up after. Either they're going for the Hall of Fame or like they just want to win a ring. Like these guys play football for a long time. They want to be a Super Bowl champion, right? And you see some of these guys like, well, I'm going to go to a playoff contender. So I think you'll see more of them, more of those types of guys be interested. You go rewind not that long ago. And I can't remember the players, but the beat was really hammering Ryan Poles to be like, why didn't you sign so-and-so? You know, what about defensive end here? Why aren't you going after these guys? And he said, they have to want to play here.
Yeah. I remember that.
And I think some people took that the wrong way. Like, oh, like, so it's like, well, no, he's offering contracts. And in some ways he's offering over market value to try to get them to come here. And you're going to kill them on that. By the way, like if you sign a guy for too much money, you're going to kill him for that. But they have to want to play here, and that's I think going to be the difference moving forward. Is you've now established a different culture that has a higher expectation. Things are going to be very different now. Like you're going to have different interest level coming in here, and that's really exciting. That's very exciting. So, all right, let's get into Caleb's corner. 23 of 42 for 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. We'll get to that in a second. No sacks, 5 carries for 40 yards. I went through in this game and I tried to put all of his throws into buckets. It's not scientific. It's not like, don't call me on this in terms of like, well, I think it should have been 4. Like, I get it. I'm just giving you kind of rough estimates here. This is how I had it broken down.
It's subjective. Yeah.
It's very subjective.
Yeah.
Good balls that were completed, 22. a bad ball that was completed. So your wide receiver kind of bailed you out. 1. I have that as that DJ kind of one-handed stab. It was behind him.
Great catch.
That probably should have been an incomplete pass.
Call it a
Either way,
highlight catch, right?
I don't know what that meant. What does that mean?
That's that game that's really popular in Florida where you play against the wall. You kind of catch it, like you scoop it in the scoop. I'm sure there's a Midwestern version where you kind of play with the scoops where you throw the ball.
I'm glad that we talked about it because I did not understand it on the broadcast. And
it's a very popular game. I think it's maybe from the Dominican Republic or maybe Cuba, but it's very popular in Florida. It's highlight. Come on, you got to get with the with.
Well, I have to ask Taylor. She knows.
Oh, yes.
Game. Yeah, we'll see that. No, I don't know. I never heard of it. Okay, so those are his 23 completions. Of his 19 incompletions here, I have it down as 2 throwaways, and they weren't like throwaways out of bounds. They were throwaways like back of the end zone, right? Like kind of threw them high, like kind of
nothing there. Yeah.
I have 4 that I think were good balls that could have been caught, but I'm not going to count them a drop. I think they're just like it happens, right? And then I've got 6 that are drops. Now you might want to say 5 and 5. You might want to go a little different, but that's what I have. I had 6 drops. I think Loveland had, I think, probably his worst game as a pro.
Yeah.
Tough moment to have that. But overall, you got the Adunze touchdown, would-be touchdown that was dropped. Brutal way to start a game. So I have six drops. If it's 3 drops, Bears win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what I mean. Like, these are important moments. They're never like 2-yard, like, oh, he dropped a 2-yard. Like, who cares? These are down the field. These are important moments. And Cable's receivers really failed him. And then I have 6 balls that I would have said were bad balls. 2 of those ended up being intercepted. I understand the first one, they missed the call. Forcible blow to the head. That would have bailed him out. It was a bad ball. He sailed it. Safety got it. It was 4th down, whatever. That first interception. Second interception, maybe there's something that, like, I don't understand schematically, in that, like, Loveland needed to hold that corner. Instead, he kind of came off of him. The corner dropped, drifted back, and then picked him off. Caleb didn't see it. I don't know exactly who bears the blame there. I'm sure that the coaches do, but I'm going to put that in the bad ball category. A couple other that I just think were off the mark, bad balls. Not that anybody was doing the math in your head, but that adds up to 41. The 42nd ball, the last ball of the game, I'm just putting it in that last play. That's its own bucket, because it's an interesting interpretation. This is where I want to launch into the conversation, was the last throw of the game, or last throw for Caleb. I've seen a lot of people try to kill him. Like, you don't need to be throwing that pass. That's too risky of a pass. All this. And then there's a lot more people, including Collinsworth on the right away on the cover.
Right at him. Yeah.
Right at him. I mean, like, that does not happen that often. Yeah. But he's a wide, Collinsworth, for whatever he is, he knows a lot about football, knows more about football than 99.9% of us, right? He played wide receiver at a pretty high level in the NFL. And for him to immediately call it out and be like, I don't know what DJ Moore is doing here. I don't know what his effort is. It seems like he didn't find the ball. He never really found it, and he's jogging. And then a lot of people, Chase Daniel, a lot of people that are breaking this down and say, this is what this route is. This is, it's at this marker. He needs to cut here flat. Wow. And where this ball is delivered is right where it's supposed to be. And if you look at this thing unfold, there is nothing but space. It is wide open. It is wide ass open. Like, DJ runs underneath that, and I say, Cam Curl came down and intercepted the ball. An amazing play, diving interception. Like, if DJ runs that route correctly, DJ's catching that ball, and Cam Curl is getting to him to try to push him out of bounds. Like, that's the normal sequence of events of that play. At worst, DJ is just dropping the ball, or whatever. It's an incomplete pass. But because of the lack of effort, maybe he's hurt, maybe he's tired. I don't care. Like, it's absolutely unacceptable that he rounded that route and drifted upfield and never found the ball. I'm putting that as you tell me where you want to put it, but to me, That's a good ball that ends up being intercepted because your receiver didn't do the little thing right.
That would go in the WTF bucket. Is
Yeah, it's its own bucket. It's
that's where I put that.
Yeah, I would love to never put another throw in that bucket, but that's where that is.
I guess we'll have the DJ conversation here, right? I mean, this is who he is, right? I mean, he's a good football player, right? He's the highest paid Bear of all time. I believe he still is, correct. And he's put up a lot of numbers in the NFL, had a lot of huge plays for the Bears this season, right? We talked about the highlight catch earlier, right? That was a phenomenal catch, right? The Packers walk-off, a phenomenal catch. The catch in the back of the end zone against the Browns, right? Phenomenal catch. But there's like 5 or 6 plays every game where it just seems like he doesn't have the focus. And the first thing I thought watching that playback, I'm not a route running expert. I don't understand that part of it all the time. I do my best, but to me, it looked like he just wasn't aware of the ball at the time. It looked like the Rams defender saw the pass, broke on it like that. DJ was still thinking about something. He just didn't have the focus. And look, it sucks that it happened in that moment, but this is just kind of how DJ's always been. I like DJ. I think he's a good football player, again, like I said, but these little lack of focus moments, these may be why he's moved in the offseason, right? It's going to have to be a trade. They're not going to cut him, obviously. And if they do make a deal, it's going to be for nothing. It's going to be peanuts, maybe a 4th rounder coming back just because it's a big contract, the team taking it on. He's not at the top level of wide receiver ones. He's a good receiver, but there's some of that goes along with it. I hear people, oh, he's lazy. I don't think he's lazy, right? I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's lazy.
Oh, no.
There's just certain points in a game where the focus leaves him. And like you said, maybe he was exhausted. Maybe that's what it was. And then get off the damn field.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You've got to be, you have to know that if you're lining up, that the ball could find you and you've got to run it 100%. You're in overtime. Like, I mean, this is, you got to dig deep, and we know that he can, right? Like you said, the walk-off against the Packers, like that was a dig deep moment. He was completely exhausted, but he does that. The game's over. Yeah. Game's over. You got the ball at the 20, whatever it is, right? And you're going to have the ball in Kyle Santos field goal range. You are going to run the ball a few times and you're going to kick a field goal. And I'm going to put my money that Kyle Santos is going to hit that field goal. And the Bears are playing one more week. Right. And so it's a very tough way to end this. And this is my hot take, I think, a little bit, because I think people are kind of all over the place with what they want to think about Caleb's performance and his stats and all that kind of stuff. I think the receivers, including DJ, including Rome, including Loveland, I think that they let down Caleb and the defense, who played an amazing game. I think that that's the kind of stuff that has to get cleaned up for this offense to go into the next level. I just don't see enough evidence that I'm worried about Caleb at all after the finish that he's had to his year. Change some of these focus drops into positive gains, and Caleb's over 300, and the Bears are probably walking away with this one. And I just, this one hurt. I didn't answer myself, my question. Rewatching this actually hurt me more, because I was able to sort of come down with numbers, and you kind of forget all that happened. Oh man, 4th and 2, you didn't score, you gave the ball back. Like just all these things that just kept happening. For me, it hurt more to go back and rewatch it, because I think that a lot of these guys were playing fantastic, top-notch playoff football, and a couple guys just not paying attention to the details. A few, physical mistakes with drops really cost this team an opportunity to go play for an NFC championship.
It sucks, but you need everyone rowing in the same direction, right? I mean, that just didn't happen this week. It's a you always hear him say it's you got to do your 111th, right, on a football field, and there were some guys that just didn't pull their weight this game, and this will motivate them, right? This isn't something they're going to have to live with in the offseason, and they're going to come back. And if Ben Johnson is the guy we think he is, his message is to these players is, look, use this as motivation, right? Use this hurt, use this pain that you have right now in the locker room, and make that drive you this entire offseason. And let's get back in the in camp and OTAs and kick some ass.
And these guys are chomping at the bit to do that. I'm sure of it. There was not a lot of hanging heads. These guys are ready. So, all right, quick break. Other side of it, our final 3 Bears of the season. Stick with us. All right, Lester, 3 Bears: hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, and just right. Let's start with the hot.
Jaquan Brisker,
got to be him.
14 tackles, tackle for loss, a sack, a pass breakup, and there was one sequence where he did all this. These fun things, the
Brisker drive.
Loss. Yeah, the Brisker drive. It's like last year, a lot of fans were down on Brisker, right? Because he had a few nagging injuries that he really clearly was hampering him. I think he only missed 2 or 3 games last year, but it seemed like he was always something happening to the sideline. He missed a few plays here. So a lot of fans were down on Brisker last year. He had a nice year this year. Is it nice enough where they're going to want to re-sign him, bring him back? He's in his contract year. It's hard to say, but I think he's a key piece. I think he does a lot of stuff for you. He's a versatile player. He can kind of play, back end stuff. He can blitz for you. So I think if you're looking at your defense overall, I think he's a guy that you may want to prioritize to bring back. Again, it's independent of money. Look, the Bears are up against the cap this year, but the cap, they're going to move some guys around, restructure a couple things, cut a couple players, a few guys come off the books. The cap is not a problem. They'll have enough money to do what they have to do. And I think Brisker's a good player. I mean, he's chirpy, he's annoying when you're losing, but if you're going to be good, you want a chirpy asshole like Brisker in your back end of your secondary.
Yeah, I think what's the ethical hoops where they talk about the numbers that people put up, and, they call it ethical hoops, and people are maybe bringing that over a little bit to quarterbacks and all that kind of stuff. And I think the Bears have an ethical cap in that they don't have any dead money. They don't have any ghost year, whatever that's called.
Void years, yeah.
The void years on the contracts that they got rid of all those. That was the Ryan Pace thing that he learned from the Saints, and those are all gone, right? And so, I saw some people posting the cap stuff on the Bears, and it's like, yeah, they got a lot of players, but they also have a lot of starters under contract. That's not a bad thing. And then they haven't moved any money into the future, really. There's no contracts where you'd be like, oh, well, we're gonna it's guaranteed money, so we're gonna just change the contract structure and pay you now, and then we'll take that off the books with the void years and all that kind of stuff, and we have cap space, right? Wow. That stuff, every team does that. Teams do that to crazy extent sometimes especially when they're trying to pry open a window, either pry it open or keep it open, right? Yeah. The Bears haven't done any of that yet. Yes, they had an active offseason. They signed some people in to come in because they really wanted Ben Johnson's first year to be as good as it could be, and give Caleb Williams the support and all that. But their cap is fine, and we'll see what they do. We'll see if they're maybe a little bit more push things into the future here. But I don't know if Brisker is in the plans one way or the other, because I don't know exactly what Dennis Allen thinks or Ryan Poles thinks or whatever. But what a way to go out if that's the case, right? You've put your resume out there either for the Bears or for somewhere else in the league. He seems like he wants to continue to be a Chicago Bear. And if the Bears are like, yeah, I think we can afford everybody to come back, and this is the thing. I mean, we could just put the secondary in the hot, because this is what we thought. I mean, really, this is what we thought they were going to be coming in, and then just all these injuries and taking them out and everything. But even Brisker played, I think, at a level higher than what we expected him to. We've kind of seen Byard have his good games. We've seen, we've seen Jalen Johnson at a peak, and definitely haven't seen Jalen Johnson back to that yet. He's gutting through his injury, but Brisker, my pick as well. And I think it's honestly the only one that we can really go with here. So I like him. I like a DB that chirps.
Yeah.
It never bothered me when he chirped when the Bears were losing. I don't mind that at all because I just think that's what DBs are.
Yeah.
And like I think it's part of like they need food, water, and trash talking. Like
Yeah.
that's what they need to survive. So to me, it's never bothered me. And I like him as a player, and he's definitely ended his rookie contract on a high note.
For
So
sure.
hopefully he's able to. I'd like him back. If not for him, hopefully he gets a contract that he's happy with.
Yeah.
All right, flip it around. Cold bullet porridge. Where do you want to go?
We already talked a little bit about DJ, right? So I don't want to pile on DJ here. So I'm going to stay at the position though. I'm going to go Rome.
Yep.
I mean, look, the stress fracture clearly is bothering him. And he talked today in his exit interview when he had the presser today. He said that there's still no surgery on the table. So that's not an option. I guess it's one of the things where the rest will let it recover. And from talking to Mason, I think it's like a 6 to 8 week thing. If you have no activity on a stress fracture, 6 to 8 weeks, you should be good to go. So shut him down, be ready to go. But come on, man, you got to catch the football. I mean, how many times have we seen this year where he has dropped a surefire touchdown? I know at least there's been 2 more. There may be others. The drops have been a problem all year. And he talked about it today too when he met the media. He understands that. And look, yes, the stress fracture clearly bothers him. But it's in your foot, my friend. You got to catch the ball. If it hits you in the hands, there's no reason why you shouldn't come down with that. He was too good in college. He was too good as a rookie. He regressed. Yes, the injury is part of it, but it's not all of it. You gotta make those catches.
Yeah, he came out hot in the first part of the year. He looked like he was going to be great, and then the injury obviously really did slow him down. Yeah, I am far from a professional athlete. I'm pretty sure I had a stress fracture in my foot, and I think I stepped wrong on a training run, and that thing took forever for it to heal because I kept running on it, and it hurts, right? Like you kind of get going, but you can't really turn it loose, and then it hurts after. Or if you stop and like, God, like it's hard to like get going again, right? And so I would imagine as a professional athlete who needs his feet that it was very hard for him to mentally and physically overcome that injury. And I'll say like I basically took a year where I really dialed back running so that I could get over that. It did take time, right? And he has, I mean, I would too, but like he has the ability to just sit there and let it heal for the next 8 weeks and then get into training, in May, April, whatever it is, and ramp up, and he'll be more than fine. So I think that this is going to be something that he's able to put behind him pretty easily, and come in fresh. A lot of these guys, I think, same way, right? Like a lot of people are kind of down on Jalen. Well, he got it through a pretty rough injury there at the end, and played some pretty respectable football. People are down on Kyler. Well, got it through some football, some injury, play some really good football, in yesterday's game. So I don't know. I think if as long as they're on the team, it's a blank slate next year. You come in fresh. Hopefully you can stay healthy. Bears were unlucky in some rooms with the injury bug this year, lucky in others. No 2 years are alike, but you hope that he's able to come back, drop back. Mine is I just had drops, and so like we want to make sure we talk about DJ. Want to make sure we talked about Rome, and so I guess I will end it with Loveland. Tough day to have your worst day as a pro, but I think that it was noticeable that he wasn't out there at the end. I think he was being evaluated for a concussion. I don't know that I ever heard the full report there, but like he got popped and got up and got off the field, but you didn't see him again. That offense looks different without him. He's going to be really important next year. He's got the best hands on the team. It's cold. I know, Caleb throws a ball with plenty of velocity. I know, but you got to bail him out. Like you got to complete the completion. You're not even bailing him out. You're just those are the plays. And again, if I think if Loveland has a good game, Bears win. Like I mean, it's just I think it's that the margin was obviously that thin here, And I really think that what I'm going to take away from this more than anything for me was the drops were the difference in this game. And so those are the guys that it really came down to.
Yeah, that was brutal. Like you said, it was cold out there, but look, some of those hit him right in the hands. You know, the same as Rome. It's like if it's there for you, you got to catch it. It's a concentration thing, and we haven't seen that much from Loveland, right? He's been pretty good this year as a rookie. So like it was out of character for him, but yeah, I mean, again, this will motivate him. And yeah, it was a concussion. Ben said it was that's why he didn't come back in the game. I have not heard the severity. That now that they're no more games, we'll never know the severity. So hopefully it's he's good to go and he can get ready, because he wants to get back out there, and he wants to get out there and start training, get ready for 2026.
All right, last category, just right. Where do you want to go with this one?
Mine is going to go DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
19 carries, 76 yards. It wasn't the best game of him. Obviously 4 yards per carry, but the way he ran in this game, decisive, turning it upfield, taking what the defense gave him. There was no dancing, right? This is kind of who he has been this entire year. And whether it's Eric Bieniemy got through to him, whether he's more mature as a runner, whatever the reason is, this version of DeAndre Swift is a pretty damn good football player. On the year, he had a season high, a career high, 1,087 yards, 4.9 yards a pop, 34 catches. Good football player in his contract year. And I know before the season, everyone thought, oh, this will be his last year. They're going to cut him. There's no more dead money. I don't know. I think Swift's pretty damn good, and I think he's a good complement to Monangai. I think those two guys are good together, and why mess with it? I think if anything, Swift may be one of these guys that gets a restructure, right? Because he has no more guaranteed money. So now you can kind of, give him another year or two, push somebody down the road. And here's the thing. He literally just turned 27 like last week. So he's still pretty young as far as running backs go. So you can get a couple more years out of him. So from where we were as a fan base on Swift to now, I think Swift's in a pretty good place. I think he should be here, of course, in 2026.
Yeah, they have just absolutely squeezed the best football out of DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
I mean, for years he was durability issues and bouncing everything out. Like, he just no vision, just wanted to bounce everything out like a high school back, right? Like just on the edge. Then they're using him more effectively in that way. They know who he is, but he's been using power as well. Like he's
put his shoulder down. Yeah.
He's not, and I will say, have we talked about this yet? The second down run, second and 10 run with 5 minutes left in the first half. He's got the first down. They spot it as a first down. It is a first down. Like, I mean, I've watched it 8 times and I just can't see what made them review it and move it back a yard. Like, I just can't, like, it's not like, oh yeah, his knee was down. Like none of that. No, like he got the first down. He was spotted correctly. These guys are usually pretty good at spotting the football. I mean, refs take, yes, they're very inconsistent. They impact games, but like spotting the football, they're usually pretty decent at, especially if there's not like a big scrum, right? It was an easy spot for them. There wasn't a ton of people around. It was correctly spotted. It was a first down, and then it expedited review brought it back a yard. Like I need more explanation.
Yeah.
For that, because now it's 3rd and 1 instead of 1st and 10. Swift gets stuffed on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Monangai gets stuffed. It's Rams ball, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, it was a huge turning point in that game. And we'll just pick up the yard. Sure, but you did. You had it picked up. Like, to me, that was the weirdest. And it's in it because we didn't spend any more time on it, right? They kept showing the forcible blow to the head that was an interception over and over because Caleb hit his hand. Like they kept showing it because Caleb hit his hand.
Yeah.
And they were like, they're worried about the hand. But then the defensive lineman kept, his fist kept coming down on Caleb's face mask. How do you miss that? Yeah. Right. And so that one was very frustrating. But this for me, like, I just, in the moment, I'm like, what do you mean expedited review? And we don't get to like look at it and just like, they just move it back. And if it's an expedited review, does Ben get to like challenge the expedited review and say, I don't believe your chip in the
Yeah.
football. Like, what is this? Like, I was very confused in the moment, and I was that one. I'm not over. I got mad in the rewatch on that one too because I was like, yes, this is what I remember being pissed about in the moment was that it didn't make any sense. And I don't know. I watched it 15 times. It's a first down every time.
Yeah, speaking of weird calls, there was that late hands to the illegal use of hands by Nashawn Wright, where you're like, what
That
even happened there? Like, it's
call
just
that in the preseason. You're not calling that in the playoffs. Like
it's almost like the
nothing there.
ref flagged it thinking it would happen because he was up there, like something may happen, and then
Sure.
it didn't happen. Well, then you can just put the flag back in your
Yeah, you can
pocket.
say no flag on the play.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, that one sucked. Like, that didn't hurt him.
No.
I mean, again, you don't want to make this be about the refs and all that kind of, because the Bears had their opportunities. But that one, like, there wasn't enough explanation for me, and it turned into this big moment because they couldn't convert there, and they're in field goal range.
Yeah.
I know it would have been a long field goal, but like, give them a fresh set of downs. I feel confident they're at least getting 3 there.
Yeah.
So it was very frustrating. I was not happy about that one. There's points all over the place in this game. Okay, for me, I'm gonna say Kyler Gordon, and I thought he played a really good game, and that's what I expect out of him. And I think that this defense is so much better when he's healthy, and he just hasn't been. And I get it, he hasn't been healthy, so like that's the knock on him. Fresh slate next year, we'll see, right? Like Brisker was banged up last year and didn't played every game this year, right? Like these things can be really weird and sometimes just bad luck, and the injury lingers, and it is what it is. But if Kyler Gordon's on the field all year next year, or at least like, I don't know, 13 games or something like that, like this defense is going to be much better than it was because he is this Swiss Army knife that allows you to do all of these different things, and he's really good at football. And so it was great to see him come back with because he was getting picked on against the Packers because he was not, like, he just wasn't ready, right? And this game, he's everywhere, he's doing stuff, and you can just picture like, oh man, if we can just get that back, let's just get that back and healthy. That goes back to being the strength of the team, or at least the strength of the defense. And now you're like really feeling good that you have at least an average to above average defense with the offense ascending. Man, that sounds good to me. Sign me up for that.
I'm glad we're talking about Kyler a little bit because some fans are really down on Kyler this year. It's like he's injury prone, right? I mean, it's not like he has a chronic something. Like he doesn't have like a bum knee that he always has to work through. These are like weird soft tissue injuries. Maybe he's more susceptible to this kind of stuff. I don't know, but to me, it just seems fluky, right? And then I'm going to think back to Jonah Jackson, right? The Bears picked him up from the Rams. Rams fans, oh, he stinks. He's terrible, right? They moved on from him. Bears fans, oh, this guy stunk last year. Why are they trading anything for this guy? He couldn't even play a season last year. He kept getting hurt. He sucks. Today in Jonah Jackson's press conference, he mentioned this is the first time he's played a full season in his career, right? So again, these aren't chronic injuries. He's not like an injury-prone guy. Sometimes it's bad luck. Sometimes things happen, and then they get over it. Jonah Jackson, of course, played every game this year. Next year, Kyler Gordon could come back. He could play every game next year. And like you said, when he's on the field, he's a difference maker. He had a sack. He had a couple pass breakups, I believe. I think he had a tackle for loss. He's all over the place because he can play. He's your nickel, right? But he can play like a linebacker. He can fill the run fits when he has to. When he's in there as a nickel, he can cover tight ends. He can cover shifty slot receivers because he's physical, right? He's quick. He's just a good football player. And yeah, the Bears are definitely better when he's out there, which is why they paid him so much money. They made him the top paid nickel guy because they realized, man, his skill set is unique. Whoever is our DC moving forward is going to have fun with this guy. And Dennis Allen said when he took the job, that's one of the first guys he talked about, his versatility. He had him cross-training at safety because he wants him knowing more stuff to do in the back end. So I think a healthy year from Kyler Gordon, you may see him pushing for that Pro Bowl next year because he has that kind of skill set.
It'd be interesting to see if the Bears, Ben Johnson, makes any additions or changes to the strength and conditioning program. Just to, maybe that's not in alignment necessarily with what he wants to see. Maybe there's a little bit more emphasis on some of these soft tissue injury prevention things, but I would just say, like, as you become a pro and as you get, and yeah, he's been in the league long enough that you can say, well, you should have known this by now. But you learn how to take care of your body and how to strengthen, some of your weaknesses and all that kind of stuff. And that's why you see guys that maybe they start to wear down, but there's also this like peak in their career where they figure out how to be a pro and they take care of their bodies. And so hopefully that's coming for him. We would love to see 17 healthy starts out of Kyler Gordon next regular season and be healthy for the playoffs, right? Like that's what we're hoping for. All right, that's 3 Bears. That's what we got. It's a tough loss, tough way to end this season, because I think it would have been a lot of fun to go into Seattle and see what this Bears team could do in a hostile environment for the NFC Championship. That team looked real good. They looked like a buzzsaw against the Niners. I think the Niners were broken. Which means that the Eagles sure were broken. Would have been nice to play the Eagles. So, that's what we kind of were hoping for, was that the Eagles could come through and you'd host the Eagles and maybe play that game either against the Rams or the game against the Seahawks for the NFC Championship game. But it's not how it worked out. They had to play the Rams. I think overall, you have to be pretty impressed with the defensive effort. I think the offensive effort, some guys let them down. I'm personally, well, maybe we end with this. Personally, I'm not too worried about Ben Johnson. I find just a couple weeks ago, people were like being too cute on those 4th downs and, going off because, he didn't get them. And now it's you're not.
Where's the creativity?
Where's the creativity on the 4th down plays? And personally, I would love to have Caleb have the ball in his hand. Let him create, give him an option to like scramble for it if he needs to. Like, I'd love to see some of that. I think Ben Johnson believed in those play calls, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't have sent him in. It's certainly a difference in the game. 3 out of 6 on the 4th down conversions. The Rams were 1 for 1. I think, you get 4 out of 6. Again, I think the Bears win that game. I think if the Rams go 0 for 1 and you prevent them because they scored a touchdown a couple of plays later, the Bears win that football game. I mean, it's so close. It was so close. It was quite the finish. But for me, I still have full faith and confidence in Ben Johnson and moving forward with this football team.
I'm glad we're doing some Ben Johnson talk down here, because that's the one thing I saw on social media on some of the talk shows is they're talking about some of the 4th down calls, right? Why not just take the points? This is fans. Why not just take the points there? Okay, are you the same fan that said Cairo Santos sucks? Because you're the same fan that was saying for months Cairo Santos sucks. Now you're saying, oh, take the points. Does he suck, or is he automatic? Like, which is it? And look, early in that game, I understood that because you're playing the friggin' Rams, right? The Rams are the number 1 offense in the NFL. Field goals won't do it. Because those fans are complaining about that. They're the same fans would have said, you can't win with 3. You can't just keep trading field goal for touchdown. It's the same meathead would have said that. So look, I have no problem with Ben Johnson. That's who he is, right? He gets in those situations, he's going to go for it. If your players execute, like you said, some of those plays calls, they didn't work. But if they execute, for example, you remember the play where DeAndre Swift kind of jumped in the air? The goal line. Go back and watch that play. Roma Dunze missed his block. He gets that block on the corner. That's a walking touchdown.
Let me ask you this. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So I watched that play, and Swift that's the one play Swift bounced it outside.
Yeah.
And Rome's job is to get between the corner and the scrum.
Yeah.
And so he does. He gets in between, right? He's 5 yards deep in the end zone. 4 yards. I mean, he's in the end zone, right? To get his block. And then Swift bounces it outside and the corner goes to the outside. So I think that the criticism on Rome there is that he needed to have hands on him and he needed to like continue his block and
just stay there
and not lose him. I think in Rome's mind, he has his back. He's done his job. He's got his back to the offensive line. And in his mind, it is a run in the C gap, B gap, whatever it is. And the play's over, or he's going to hit it up in the hole. It's play's over. Now you can say, well, the play's never over until you hit the whistle, blah, blah, blah. But like to me, like he got inside of his guy. He that was his assignment.
Yeah.
And then it's bounced outside. It's like when you say, like, well, the left tackle was blocking the defensive end, and then the quarterback went around the outside and he got called for a holding because the guy switched directions, right? There's a little bit of that too, where I don't know, man. Like he did his job, and then the corner went on the outside. So I don't know. Like to me, when Swift went off script there,
A lot
it's
of
on him.
nuance.
Like he's got to make that guy miss,
Yeah.
and he wasn't able to do that. So I'm not trying to like. I know I love Rome, and I'm
That's
not
your
trying
guy.
to like
It's okay.
put him off. I'm not trying to get him off the hook there, but to me, I interpreted that a little differently, as like, yeah, he that was his assignment. Get in between. He did play bounce outside. As little, bad stuff happened.
I just think from a running back standpoint, you see all that green grass, and you think you think the stalk block from the receiver is gonna stay there a second. You think I got that, and
Sure.
it just didn't happen. So yeah, it's like I said, a lot of nuance, a lot of things. Look, it's play calling is not an exact science, right? If all the play calls work, you're a genius. If all the play calls don't work, you suck. Are the players executing? Again, it comes down to your 111th, right? If everyone does their job in every single play, the offense always has the advantage, right? No matter if every X's and O's thing you draw up, the offense always has the advantage, but that's not how real football works. The players are out there making plays. Those guys on defense get paid a lot of money to make plays too. So it happens, but yeah, it's again, I'm with you though. I get the Ben Johnson criticism a little bit, but some guys just want to nitpick, right? I like the cute stuff. I like the power stuff. I like everything he's done so far. I really have no complaints of Ben Johnson year one.
1 to 2 plays made the difference here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out here. They had their opportunities. They're a real legitimate team. They played this team deep into the game, and they didn't get anything lucky. There was nothing fortunate in this game. To me, like that is the huge take-home message here. Is like they did not get anything lucky here, and they were still taking them down to the wire. So I think that bodes well for the future. You clean some of this stuff up, it's going to operate at a higher level. These 240-yard, 260-yard games are going to be 320, 340. Like that's what we're going to see. We're going to see these points start to roll. That's what happened in Detroit, right? The first year was like, oh, wow, this is pretty interesting. The second year, like things started rolling. And you see that in Shanahan's system, guys, and all that kind of stuff too. Like there's a lot of offenses that take off in the second year. The fact that it had as much success as it was, even given the early struggles. I mean, I think they finished 11th in DVOA, which is like, everybody wants to talk about DVOA. I think their offense was like 11th, even after the rough start. Like, I mean, if you're not excited about this, you won't be excited about anything. So that's going to do it. We're going to stick around a little bit, I think, for the YouTube crowd, for the podcasters. Thanks for joining us all year. We'll probably take a little bit of a break and come back, maybe do some off-season stuff, some free agency stuff here.
Free agency draft. Yeah, we'll have some stuff.
We'll do all the normal stuff, but we'll probably take off the rest of the playoff schedule and get back into it once the new league year starts. And we'll talk to you then. Until then, bear down.
Here we go here. Bear down under. Nice finally be a team that the others will envy over an offseason. Bear down, guys. Cheers for all your work season. The future's bright. Appreciate you tuning in. Bear down under, who also said it's 70 degrees plus in Melbourne. Where I live right now, it literally was like 1 degree all day. So it sucks here. But yeah, I mean, this is other teams envying. It's other fan bases, right? It's like, this is why Packer fans and Lion fans are so chirpy, because they know. They know what's happening here. They see this and they're trying to do as much as they can now, get all their talking in now, because they know once the season comes, look, the rivalry's back with the Packers, obviously. And Detroit, look, Ben has not beat Detroit. That's going to be a talking point until he has a chance to beat Detroit. You don't think he wants to beat his former team? You don't think his players want to do it for Ben? That's going to be a thing next year, and we're going to see what happens when they play the Lions next season.
It's going to have the Packers rivalries renewed.
Yeah.
They split with Minnesota. I mean, as good as they were 2-4 in the division, right? So you're going to have to, that's going to have to flip next year if you want to keep that crown. And don't ever forget, Bears won the NFC North. So
now they can never give it back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, never wrong, only early.
Yeah, exactly. Chris says she was calm after the game. The rewatch ticked her off. So many opportunities to win, and we failed to execute. Yeah, it's stung watching a rewatch because you're like, oh, that drop. Oh, it was in his hands. Oh, the Rome one right there, right? That goofy, like you said, that goofy first down non-call with Swift. And, so many times you're like, well, it happens.
Yeah, the great rush by Dom Robb up the middle forces the fumble right back into Stafford's breadbasket. Like, I just like that is so freaking annoying that the ball bounced that way. Like he did everything perfect. Stafford didn't even see it coming. He slapped the ball away and then sacked him, and it just went right back into it. Like, it's just so unlucky. And then that free ball for the heads up by the Rams player, but like, come on, like just all of these things, and not coming up with the interceptions, and some would have been tough plays, but Caleb doesn't get away with anything, and Stafford gets away with all of his bad throws. Like, it's like there's no luck here. There's no luck, and it was still that close, and it took as much as I hate to say it, Collinsworth said these big games are sometimes lost more than they're won. Bears really had that opportunity there at the end and lost it because they weren't on the details.
Yeah, I mean, let's not take away from the Rams. The Rams.
Oh, Rams are a great football team. That's what we were worried about.
Yeah.
There was legitimate worry that they were going to hang 50 on the Bears, and the Bears were going to get blown out. Legitimate people were literally talking about that being a real thing. They were 3.5-point underdogs at home.
Yeah.
Like this. This is a really good football team. They could absolutely go into Seattle next week. I think whoever comes out of the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl. To me, the Bears were very close.
Speaking of that Seattle game, you mentioned that you would have loved to see what happened with the Bears going to Seattle.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see what uniform combination they wore if they're on the road.
You would think all whites?
I think all whites. I think that may be a thing that Ben is navy home, white on white in the playoffs. I think it's great to kind of switch it up. But our guy Ross Reed mentioned it's like the Bulls with Jordan. They switched to the black sneakers in the playoffs. I think this is going to be a Ben Johnson thing now. Playoff time comes. Let's switch it up. Navy, white on white. I like it.
Well, they'll have the number 1 seed next year, so
it won't matter.
They'll
may
just
have
be
to wait
Navy,
a few years. Yeah.
Be Navy all playoffs.
Let's wrap it up on this one. In case you guys didn't hear, Eric Bieniemy is likely going to Kansas City to be the new offensive coordinator. So Ben Johnson will have to get a new running backs coach. There was no connection with Bieniemy and Ben, right? They had no previous ties.
Not that I know of.
He was a guy that came up and fit a need, so that's why they hired him. I think Ben Johnson will be fine here.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine too. And I think given the success of the offense and the difference in the offense, there's going to be a lot of interest, right?
Yeah.
And so I think Bieniemy's probably the only guy they'll lose. I don't know that they'll lose anybody else. But they're going to start to lose guys, right? And that's part of being a good head coach is to find good coaches to replace, in position coaches or coordinators or whatever. But that's the point. Ben Johnson's the offensive coordinator. Like, he's the play caller, right? I know Declan Doyle's the offensive coordinator, but Ben Johnson's calling plays. He's sequencing plays here. So it's going to be his job to make sure that if they do lose guys, they've got somebody, that can come in and replace them. And sometimes it's important to get a guy in there that challenges you a little bit or brings in a different flavor, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just your system. Sometimes it's nice to get hey, this guy's doing some really interesting stuff in college, or this guy's did some interesting stuff over here. Let's bring him in and see if we can weave this into what we're doing over here. It's going to be really fun to watch this Ben Caleb offense in year 2, what they build on, what they trash, after they get all season to look at this stuff, and what they start off with. What's this going to look like on week 1 compared to what it was throughout the year? Is it going to look like week 2 of the playoffs, or is it going to look like something different where it kind of looks like week 8 and week 14 together, but it's also got this new wrinkle. Like, it's just going to be really fun to see where things start and where they progress after starting next year.
Yeah, it's like we've been saying, man, the arrow is going up. It's fun, man. It was a bad way to end the season, but now that we're a day removed, and I get the sting of the game rewatches behind me, I can reflect again and it's exciting. Caleb's going to work on his act. He already talked about I'm going to work on my accuracy in the off season. That's something he's going to focus on, and I believe him, because last year he worked on getting his sacks cut down. Look what happened there. So it's coming.
It's going to come out and have like 95% completion percentage next year. Like, people are going to be like, what is this?
What just happened?
Yeah. I think more than anything, it's just a lot of fun to do this with you again this year. And, no plans for us slowing down here. We'll take a little break, but we'll get back at it. We'll do some other stuff. Got some fun off-season ideas, that we'll hit into too. But what's even more fun is we don't have to worry about a coaching search. We don't have to worry about, quarterback in the draft. Like, you don't have to worry about the stuff that we've had to worry about in the previous years. Even as excited as I was about Ben Johnson hire, you don't know until you actually see him and see what he's about. And he, has even exceeded my incredibly high expectations for him because of how he's carried himself and how he's had everybody in that locker room bought in. So it's been a lot of fun. I think this is just the first of, and this will be clipped and used against me if it goes the other way, but you won't even see me if it goes the other way, because I'm all in on this. And I think it's going to continue to be a lot of fun for us as Bear fans. We certainly deserve a consistent winner, and I think it's here to stay.
Agreed.
All right.
Let's get the hell
out of here.
There's a game on tonight, right? A college game?
I don't watch college. Enjoy it if you do. We'll talk at you later. Thanks, guys.